Welcome back to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your host, Big Wos AKA Wosny Lambre. So hyped to be on with you guys today, man. Shouts to everybody that's on the live. Of course, shouts to everybody listening in their whips, washing their dishes, cleaning their baby's ass. We appreciate your patronage. So guys, of course, last week, man, we talked about the CEO shooter. When we last pod, he had not been caught, but as of a couple of days ago, they found this homie in Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is fucking hilarious for me personally, because I spent 2 years at Penn State Altoona. I lived in this town for 2 fucking years, y'all. 2 years in what the students affectionately called Toontown. Just crazy. Just when I thought this story couldn't get more insane. They find this guy at a McDonald's in goddamn Toontown. Of course, if y'all following the story, y'all know the details by now. They found they found the manifesto. The McDonald's employee, which is like, that's wild to me. Like, the McDonald's employee actually went to the back, called police on this dude. Just crazy to me. Like, just the idea, it's like, yo, it's definitely him. Because again, I was following the story, y'all. Like, if I was at the goddamn Ralph's up here or Starbucks or whatever, or Chick-fil-A, and I seen this dude, there's no way I would have been like, oh, this is the guy. In fact, I would have just assumed he was some Persian cat, Armenian cat from the neighborhood. If I'm keeping it a bean with y'all, there's no way. And I was paying attention. I was locked into this story just like the rest of you guys. So just the idea that the McDonald's worker was like, yo, it's definitely him. But then again, I guess there was a $50,000 reward. If you work at McDonald's, like 50 G's ain't nothing to sneeze at, bro. Like, salute. I hope they get that paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. So, you guys are getting the news that's coming out of it. I guess his lawyer, they're gonna fight the case. It's looking like they're gonna try to take this to court, which I think would be phenomenal entertainment-wise for us as a viewing public. But as I told you guys, man, last week, man, I think there's been a lot of, especially amongst a certain lefty, cadre, about whether to be quote unquote cheering this on or not. I'm really interested about how this is being covered. We can get into the sort of that debate first, which I told you guys last week. Like, look, I'm not gonna sit here because I'm not some fake armchair revolutionary, right? Like, I'm like, bruh, I'm not picking up no gat to try to kill no Jamie Dimon and try to get away with it. I'm not gonna pretend that that's my vibe. That's something I would ever think about doing. No. I'm not, right? So, a part of it is like, I'm not gonna sit here and fake the funk and be like, hell yeah, because that, like, I'm not built like that. If someone's keeping it 1,000, I'm not lying to y'all. I'm not gonna sit and lay and wait for some goddamn, Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO, some Aetna CEO, and be like, yo, let's go get that guy. He's the guy at Cigna. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, that's not me. Again, I'm not gonna be one of these people that's like, how could you? You're cheering on vigilante. I'm not preaching to folks. I'm not doing that. But like, again, anybody who thinks this is politics is crazy. Anybody who you see out there, I'm not gonna front, like, really like on some ride or die, like, hell yeah, this is the shit type of thing on social and anywhere else. You should cut your eye a certain way at them. It's cap. They're capping. They're not about that life. They don't believe it. They themselves would never do this, and you should ask them why. Anybody who's doing this, you should ask them why they never picked up a gat, picked up a knife, picked up a whatever, and did this type of shit themselves. Anybody who's up there, doing the pom-pom waving, whatever. And that's all I'll say about that. I'm not gonna get into who's saying what, whatever. I'm not a fan, honestly, of the mudslinging on the internet, to be honest, between quote unquote creators. I get it. It gooses engagement because now you're getting your audience to go fuck with what they say, they audience fuck with what you say, the fighting back and forth online, the commenting under your posts and all that. I get it. In a certain way, it is good for business. I just think um in terms of a project and a mission and wanting to see a different outcome than the status quo, I personally don't think it's a good idea to publicly mudsling other people who I think are our cohort on the left, even when I do disagree vehemently with some of their views. Like I don't share the same views as everybody. you know um I go on TYT all the time. I don't have the exact same views as Jank or Anna or John or any of those guys, Dr. Richie, on every single thing. And even if I like vehemently opposed something that they were all about, like it's not just about they my gods. Like I would disagree with them, but it ain't gonna be no personal like, oh, you're a monster. Oh, you're a grifter. Oh, you're like, I ain't doing all that. I'll just disagree with them and definitely disagree with them privately. You know what I mean? First. And I don't got a problem going on the record, be like, you know what? I actually disagree with that, and here's why. But a lot of the shit that niggas do, man, on the internet, I just personally don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? Like I just personally I don't think is the proper route to take in terms of our discourse on the left, in so much as we even have a left. All right, cool. That being said, that's something of the discourse that I'm just like, whatever, a little mildly annoyed by. New York Times and like not New York Times, but just mainstream discourse about this case. What I find fascinating, man, is that they are doing nothing to address the popular sentiments, right? And I think it's interesting that this dude having universal popularity, his jacket selling out at Levi's, the freaking book that he was like quoting that he inscribed on the bullets, that shit shooting up to the top of the Amazon book sales list. Just the overwhelming online support, the public being like, everybody being like, fuck these people. Like, I think it's quite interesting that the mainstream corporate media is staying so far away from that discourse. Like they're not debating or sort of tackling what that is, like why that is, how that is. Like, why are people like, this dude murdered a person in cold blood in Midtown, committed a violent act. In a different context, we would call a heinous, depraved act of violence. Okay. And I just think it's interesting that they just they don't even want to address that people are happy about it. Why are people so dissatisfied with the status quo of the healthcare in the United States of America? Like that, bro, they should be rounding up blue ribbon panels everywhere. Yo, let's get to the root of this. Why are people so deeply unhappy? Yo, remember when Donald Trump got elected in 2016 and every single major newspaper made sure to go to every fucking diner in towns like Altoona, Pennsylvania to talk to Trump voters? They were so fascinated. They were so fascinated by the phenomenon. Oh, who are these aliens? Like, oh, this is so interesting. And they behave so contrary to what we believe people should do. They went out and they was like, whoa, like, why did you vote against Hillary Clinton? She was such a sick candidate. These fucking idiots. Like, don't y'all remember this, like, Trump voters, like, diners in like they went to the goddamn diner in goddamn Nebraska and Idaho and all of these crazy ass places in America. Not crazy, but real America, as Sarah Palin would say. How many times did the Post, the Times, HuffPost, like how many times did they send people there to talk to these foreign animals that we call Republicans? Republicans voted for the damn Republican. They had all these goddamn think pieces and reports and this and that. And why don't they do that same shit for all of these people that are cheering on a dude that murdered somebody in cold blood? Why don't y'all go find out what these people are mad about? And you could go anywhere. You can go to the diners in the Midwest. You can go to a bodega in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Go wherever you want, bruh. All over this country. Go talk to those people and ask them why they so pissed off. Why they so happy this dude got bodied in broad daylight. And, I can answer my own question, guys. That's because the healthcare industry is a very powerful, entrenched entity, a very moneyed interest. I gave y'all the quote to the goddamn quarterly reports and profits. Fuck the profits these fools is raking in. That's why the New York Times will go out and do this. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, won't go out and do this. Don't get it twisted. Like, if there was some one rogue, or who they could paint as rogue healthcare organizations, say like, I don't know, the Sacklers, right? And their position in the opioid epidemic within big pharma as a whole. If they'll go at one company who's already richer than God, and so whatever, canceling these fools it doesn't threaten any actual system or structure. They'll do that. But we know they're not going to go after the healthcare industry. They're not. They're not going to go after a moneyed interest, man. Okay? And that's the reason, folks. That's the reason you're not going, you got to pay attention to the coverage, right? And how it's shaded. Like, these biases, like, if you're just reading it and you give these guys the benefit of the doubt at every turn, you don't notice what they're doing, right? And again, just ignoring the part, like, whatever we could paint this guy as crazed, deranged, psychopath, blah, blah, blah. We could paint him as that. All right, go ahead. And that's easy. And that's what you're going to see them do. But what about all the people, the masses of people that are down with it? You can't blanketly call, the masses of Americans who fucking hate our system. You can't paint this broad brush of, these are psychopathic, as Hillary Clinton would say, deplorable people. No, man. These are people who feel like they're getting ripped off. And these CEOs are fucking corrupt. This is blood money, y'all. And so that's what I've been kind of fascinated by, the past few days. And I want to pull up this Klippenstein thing where Klippenstein, shouts to him. He's doing a great job. Make sure y'all go subscribe to this man's Substack. Like, he's killing it. He's been all over this story. He got like footage of the freaking all hands call with the CEO of whatever this fucking forget the name of this freaking healthcare company. The CEO, he got the video of him like sort of trying to rally the troops. He got the manifesto before anybody. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm gonna show you this New York Times directive that was sent to the worker bees at the New York Times and how they should shade their coverage. And a lot of times, like, look, the editorial staff is not going to have this heavy a hand a lot of times. They know better than to put this on paper to show, like, how the invisible hand of Big Brother is, sort of steering the coverage. But I thought this Klippenstein joint was pretty dope. And Jerv, throw that up for me, please. Jerva, you there? Thank you. So New York Times doesn't want you to see the shooter's face. Times management directs staff to dial back Luigi Mangione. Yeah, I ain't forget I was in Rome this past summer, y'all. Yeah, they was calling me Cugino Wasnil. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to brag. But anyway, I was loving those memes where it was Brad Pitt from Inglorious Bastards, and he's like Gorlami, and he was saying this guy's last name. I'm sorry, I've been loving the memes. Anyway, internal New York Times messages about its coverage of alleged gunman Luigi Mangione have been leaked to me, and the contents are revealing. On Tuesday, management said, quote, the news value and public service of showing his face is diminishing, instructing staff to dial back its use of such photos. It also directed that Luigi's manifesto not be published in the paper. The directive was heeded. If you visit New York Times front page today on the shooter, it features Mangione's back at his arraignment in Altoona. Shout out to Toontown. Another Times story today on Mangione's notebook features a photo of a generic police tape barricade. This is media paternalism at its worst. The idea that seeing the shooter's face is too much, or reading his 260-word statement will necessarily inspire copycat assassinations and should therefore be withheld from the public. Anyway, Ken Clip talks about why he posted all of this stuff. Anyway, and we could take that down. I just thought that was fascinating, man. Like, it just shows you how the Times and other papers do what, Noam Chomsky would call manufacturing consent. That's how they do it. You know what I'm saying? It's this idea that, like, oh, this, like, moderately handsome Italian kid, the public is going to feel too much sympathy with him. And God forbid the public come to their own conclusion, which, by the way, they already had before they knew what this cat actually looked like. God forbid the public draws its own conclusions, y'all. God forbid. God forbid the Times and the Post and CNN and MSNBC and all of our gatekeepers, God forbid the public come to their own conclusions about something like this. The public come to the conclusion that the healthcare system in this country is fucking bullshit. Like, bro, Obama and them, ran on this new healthcare, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get y'all the real healthcare. It's bullshit how we do it. We're the richest country ever. The idea that we don't provide our citizens with healthcare is nuts. This guy comes in with 58 people in the Senate, overwhelming majorities in the House. These motherfuckers find a way to not be able to pass this shit. And it's like, well, Joe Lieberman won't let me do it, and blah, blah, blah. And we just can't do it. We just can't do it. And the realistically, the entrenched power, the health insurance companies, they was like, no, fuck that. And what Obamacare ended up being was a massive giveaway to private insurance companies, y'all. They reap the benefits. The government just hands these fucking people cash, so they could do all kinds of stock buybacks and sell off, do insider trading, like this dude that got popped, do insider trading and, fatten the wallets of the major shareholders. So, yeah, it's just like this story matters, man, because, again, as I said last week, just the idea that this shit wasn't even on the ballot in November during our last presidential race, and the idea that universally people are disgusted by how healthcare runs in this country, and it wasn't even on the ballot, it just shows you how broken our politics are and how desperate the powers that be are to keep the status quo. Just the idea that the Times and all these guys are conspiring to make sure that we don't find sympathy with a guy who murdered a CEO, because God forbid these CEOs be scared. Like, dude, there's wanted posters for healthcare CEOs on the streets of Manhattan. People are putting up wanted posters. And yeah, you can read all the headlines. Go to wherever you get your news. It's like headlines about CEOs that they're taking these people's pictures off of their websites. It's crazy. And the idea that we're not going to cover that dissent, that we're not going to cover that, that feeling that's out there. And I'll give you a counter example and how this shit works. Think about something like crime, which obviously we know crime is important. But just think about how that kind of thing gets covered. When we think there's a crime wave, I mean, bruh, your mayor's going to do unprompted press conferences on the crime. Your senator is going to be like, oh, we got to get the gangs and the blah, blah, blah in check. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to lock more people up. Oh, we got to, bruh, they will circle the goddamn wagons on the issue like crime. And again, I'm not saying that crime isn't a serious problem that needs to be dealt with. I'm just saying, understand that no entrenched power is actually threatened by that type of full court press, both in our political figures and in our media. So, yeah, like, I'm not saying crime shouldn't be, it's not like, of course, crime is serious. Like, this goes without saying. I'm just telling you, like, when there's a perceived, like, mass public panic or concern or issue, it's everywhere, and again, particularly when we can point who the bad guys are, and it's definitely not anybody who's got some established entrenched power. Oh, we're going to go all in on that. We're going to go all in. Even something like the opioid epidemic, of course, a lot of people was concerned, of course. But let's be clear. The amount of people affected by the opioid epidemic and the amount of people affected by the bullshit health insurance industry, it doesn't compare, bro. It doesn't compare when it comes to seniors and their medicine, folks on fixed income, shit that these people will not cover, people going bankrupt because of hospital bills. Like, bruh, that amount of people dwarfs, the tragedy that was and is the opioid epidemic. And look at the coverage. And look at the way it's framed. It's like, yo, these pharmaceutical companies got to get in check. The Mexicans got to stop bringing in fentanyl. We just going after it, But the second is these folks that's screwing us over, media ain't going to be like some heads need to roll. Some change needs to come. The government needs to intervene. I mean, it's obvious with that. With stuff like crime and the opioid epidemic. It's like, yo, the government needs to step in. Got to step in and make it right. Federal, state, local, you name it. Step in, make it right. Make the people whole. That shit is easy. But you know who they're going against. It's not an industry that, like, I mean, goddamn, bro. Like, the market cap of this freaking company is insane. Talking about comparable to gas companies, y'all. Okay? And I just think that's something for you guys to think about, man. As you pay attention to this story, you feel me? It's just something that's just been crossing my mind as I watch the coverage. And, a lot of it is going to be like, oh, what did his high school mates have to say about him? And his neighbors are going to be like, oh, he was such a sweet boy. And like, that's going to be a lot of the coverage. But you know what it's not going to be? Why do people support this act of violence against this CEO? Why is the Q rating of this guy? Why is he getting standing ovations in his freaking prison? The prison population, like, bro, from grannies to felons, bro. Universal fucking Q rating, bro. It's just something to think about, guys. That's our show for today. We'll be back next week. That'll be our last joint before the holiday, before the Christmas season, man. Appreciate everybody sticking with us. Like I said, we got a rebrand coming on the other side of next year. So looking forward to that. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Shouts to my man John Gervais on the 1s and 3s, man. Always keep the trains running on time. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.